convener of Australians for a Constitutional Monarchy, and he joins us now from Sydney. Professor Flint, good morning and thanks for your time.
Good morning.
It's fair to say this is the best thing that's happened to the monarchy for many years, isn't it?
Well, it's a wonderful thing, but of course the polls have been trending down. If you look at the trends from the time of the referendum, they've gone down to the low 40s, and that's just support for a vague, undefined republic. Once you get a model, of course, that splits, and strong support is now down generally at 25%, but the really fascinating feature is it remains a bell-shaped curve. Support is strongest among the middle-aged and weakest among the old and the young.
That said, do you believe, though, there's active support for the monarchy, or people just tend to be more passive about it?
I think people don't see it as a threat. You're right there. The support is there. The strong support is probably stronger than the strong Republican support, because when we've held demonstrations, we've turned out thousands of people, 20,000 in Sydney on one occasion. The Republicans have not been able to turn out 100 when they've called demonstrations. So our support, it is a core that is strong.
It's fair to say, though, that regardless of those figures you cited, the latest news poll out in the last week put the number of people who supported a republic above those who supported a monarchy. I think the figures were 41 to 39%.
That's true, but the uncommitted are often people who decline to give any answers at all to pollsters on this issue, because it is unfashionable to say you're a monarchist. It still remains unfashionable, but when it comes to a poll, most of them swing behind us. And when you look at the Republican statistics, only 25% of them are fully in support of a vague, undefined republic. The rest of them are only partly in support of a republic.
As the head of Australians for a Constitutional Monarchy, are you hoping how well this transition to public life Prince William and Kate Middleton have made will swing a greater number of younger Australians behind your cause?
I think it does interest young Australians. As I say, it's only had a marginal effect on the polls so far. But I think that the sense of service which the Queen herself and Prince Charles, and now the two young princes, are demonstrating, that sense of service without any return is something which I think does remind people that the Crown, the Australian Crown, is an institution, our eldest institution, and it's beyond politics. And I think people appreciate the fact that within the constitutional system there is something which is outside of the political arena, not to denigrate the politicians, but keeping the politicians, as it were, in the nicest possible way, in their place.
Professor Flint, do you believe this support, active or passive, for the monarchy will continue once the Queen dies?
I have no doubt. In fact, I was impressed by Bob Carr's attention to this last night in Q&A, because I agree entirely with him. The Republicans who think that the end of this reign is some sort of silver bullet are barking up the wrong tree, to mix all sorts of metaphors. You see, once the end of this reign comes, there'll be an enormous retrospective. If you think that the media are indulgent over the royal wedding, at the end of this reign, the retrospective will be enormous. Then there'll be a fascination with the coronation, and a fascination also with the next Prince of Wales and the children of the next Prince of Wales. Monarchy has a wonderful way of reproducing, reinventing itself, and that magic of monarchy will be very important, and I think Australians like to be associated
David Flint,
with
as you well know,
institution.
Those same polls show a big drop in support for the monarchy once Prince Charles's name enters the frame as King Charles.
I think that's true. Prince Charles has had a bad press, there's no doubt about that, and his divorce and the death of Diana did, of course, impact on that. But I think when Australians realise what he is really like, when they know that, for example, every year he raises $250 million for very good charities, I think he will be appreciated much more. And as he ages, I think that appreciation will increase.
And finally, David Flint, how will you be watching the big event tonight?
Well, I'll be glued to the television set, and I'll be having a few drinks with some friends, but I will be very closely watching the television set, particularly the wedding ceremony itself, because there's nothing more wonderful than a wedding. And I think all of us enjoy good news, and this is very good news.
On ABC One, of course, Professor Flint.
Oh, yes, I shall. Not ABC Two.
David Flint, thank you very much for your time this morning.
Thank you.
No, he doesn't have to be bothered by ABC2 anymore because that particular broadcast, of course, is not going ahead. Look, it's interesting. I've been reading online all sorts of commentary about the royal wedding. This has just come in from the Christian Science Monitor, which is one of my preferred publications, asking or trying to answer this question. Why are we, meaning the Americans, why are we, the Republican colonialists who rejected the monarchy, why are we now riveted by this wedding? And it's a really interesting article that's looking at the wedding fever that has taken over the United States. So it's not just here.